You know what nobody tells you when you get a bob? That it's not actually low maintenance. It pretends to be. It gives off this whole I woke up like this, chic and composed energy. But the truth? A bob can turn on you fast. One wrong bend and suddenly you've got triangle hair. One too many passes with the flat iron and you look like a broom. And don't even get me started on the back. When's the last time you saw it, let alone styled it? Now, don't get me wrong, I love my bob. I've worn it long, short, asymmetrical, tucked, tousled, layered, and blunt. It's timeless, but it's also tricky. And I've learned, the hard way, with many awkward photos to prove it, that a bob is only as good as how you style it. It's not the cut, it's the care. So if you've ever looked in the mirror and thought, why does this look off? You're not alone. And the good news is, it's usually not a big deal. It's just a few tiny styling habits we pick up without even realizing that quietly sabotage the look. Today, I'm walking you through the 5 most common bob styling mistakes I see, and more importantly, what to do instead. No fluff, no shame. Just honest advice from someone who's made every mistake on the list and finally figured out how to make this haircut work for me, not against me. Because once you know how to tweak it, your bob stops being a battle and starts becoming your best feature. And trust me, the first mistake is one most of us have been doing since the 90s without even noticing. Let's begin. Let's start with a classic. The mistake so many of us, yes, me included, made the moment we got a bob. The big, round blowout. You know the look. Hair puffed just enough to make your head resemble a well-groomed mushroom. The crown is lifted, the ends curl under like they're reporting for duty, and everything looks just a little too set. Now, don't get me wrong. Back in the day, this was peak sophistication. Think news anchor, perfect posture, matching power suit. But today, it reads less modern Parisian elegance and more weekday sitcom mom trying very hard. Not the worst vibe, but probably not what you were going for. The real issue with the old school blowout isn't that it's outdated, it's that it hardens the haircut. A bob should feel soft, move with you, frame your jaw like it's casually draping confidence across your shoulders. But when every strand is sealed into a perfectly undercurled shape, it adds weight and age. 10 visual years, give or take. So what's the fix? Start by softening your approach. Let go of the round brush obsession. Instead, lift just the roots at the crown for a touch of shape, smooth the rest with a paddle brush, and, if you must, add a slight bend at the ends using a curling wand, not a full curl. Just a nudge. The goal isn't perfect. It's present. Movement, not memory foam. And I get it. Letting go of control can feel risky. But in styling, like in life, sometimes a little imperfection is exactly what brings things back to life. So the next time you reach for that round brush, pause, ask yourself, am I creating shape or crafting a helmet? Because if it's the latter, your bob deserves better, and so do you. And here's the thing. Even if you're not puffing it up, you might still be doing the opposite. And that might be aging you even faster. Okay, now let's talk about the other extreme, the pin straight bob. You know the one. So flat it could double as a placemat. No movement, no softness, just straight. From scalp to ends, flat as a pancake, and about as lively. I'll admit it, for years I thought this was the height of elegance. Sleek meant polished, sharp, sophisticated. It felt like control can feel like safety. But here's the truth I learned, especially as I got older. When your bob is too straight, it doesn't just fall flat. It takes your whole face with it. everything starts to look longer, heavier, a little more tired. And if your haircut has no movement or layering, it starts looking less like a style and more like a ruler taped to your head. Now I get it. The flat iron feels like magic. Swipe, swipe, smooth. No frizz, no fluff. Done. But if you use it like a daily weapon, especially without heat protection, don't worry, I've done it too. You're not just flattening your hair, you're flattening its personality. So what do you do instead? Give it back a little life, a little freedom. Try what I like to call undone polish. That sweet spot between styled and relaxed. You're not aiming for curls, just movement, a soft bend under the chin. Or even better, a gentle S-wave with a large curling wand. A nod to texture, not a declaration. Even better, let your natural wave peek through. A bit of texturizing cream, a few scrunches, and air dry. Suddenly, your bob feels effortless, youthful, like you didn't try, but you knew exactly what you were doing. This isn't about giving up the flat iron. It's about giving it purpose. When you choose softness over stiffness, you create space for your hair to move and for you to show through. Because the truth is, the most elegant bob isn't stiff or shellacked. It's confident enough to breathe. But even if you're giving your hair more freedom, there's one tiny habit you might still be doing every day that's quietly ruining your cut without you even realizing it. Let's talk about the ear tuck. That one little move we all do without thinking, without planning, the quick swipe behind the ear. Harmless, right? Just a practical gesture keeps your hair out of your face. Until one day, you catch your reflection and realize you're not wearing a bob anymore, you're wearing a hair headband. I know, it feels neat, controlled, but here's the problem. When you're constantly tucking your bob behind both ears, you're flattening your style, erasing the silhouette, and hiding the very thing the cut was meant to do. Frame your face. And honestly, it doesn't say effortless elegance. It says, I gave up halfway. Now, there's nothing wrong with a little tuck, but the habit of always doing it, that's something else. Here's what I've noticed. When both sides are tucked, you lose the softness around your features. The angles become sharper. The style starts to look like an afterthought, not a statement. And deeper still, there's something psychological about this kind of hiding. When you're constantly pulling your hair away, flattening it back, keeping it out of view, it can become a quiet pattern of playing small. But your bob is not meant to play small. It's a face-framing masterpiece. It deserves to be seen. So what can you do instead? Go asymmetrical. Let one side fall forward. Let it graze your cheekbone. Let it move. And if you must tuck, do it on one side only, and make it deliberate. Pair it with a statement earring or a soft side-swept part. Suddenly, it's not just functional, it's styled. Or skip the tuck entirely and go for a little volume around the jawline. Add a touch of mousse at the roots. Let the hair move toward your face, not away from it. Because when you stop hiding your hair, you stop hiding your energy. You look more alert, more expressive, more here. So the next time your hand drifts toward your ear, pause. Maybe let that strand fall. Let it speak. Let it say something softly bold. But even if your sides are free and fabulous, there's one section of your bob that still betrays most of us, and it's the part we never see, but everyone else does. Can we have a moment of honesty? When is the last time you really looked at the back of your head? Not just a half-hearted glance in the mirror. I mean really looked. Back mirror, front mirror, tilting, twisting, squinting, adjusting, and still somehow missing that stubborn little cowlick that lives at your nape. It's okay. You're not alone. We all forget about the back, especially with a bob. Because when the front looks good and the sides are cooperating, we assume the job's done. But the back is over there doing its own thing. Sometimes that thing is sticking straight out. Sometimes it's flattening like a tired pancake. Other times it's flipping in the exact opposite direction from the rest of your head just because it can. Here's the twist. The back is what everyone else sees first. When you walk into a room, when you lean over to hug someone, when you get up from a cafe table and someone catches that exit shot. It matters more than you think. So how do we fix what we can't see? Start with intention, not perfection. When you blow dry, take an extra 30 seconds to lift the roots at the back. Tip your head forward, use your fingers or a vent brush, and give that nape a little shape. It doesn't have to be dramatic, just alive. Air drying, a little texture spray and scrunching while damp can work wonders. Even flipping your head upside down for 5 seconds while drying can give the back some bounce. And here's the real game changer. Check it. Once a week, 2 mirrors, quick peek. Not to judge, just to notice. Because when you start giving the back of your head even a little attention, it starts showing up for you. Volume where you want it, curve where it counts, a neckline that says, I meant this. Because the best bob isn't just a front-facing affair. It's a 360-degree story. And if you've been doing everything right, brushing, styling, shaping, but your bob still feels off, the final mistake might be the sneakiest one of all, and it has nothing to do with tools. Let's end with the quietest mistake. The one that doesn't shout. It just settles, slowly, quietly, until one day you glance at your reflection in a shop window and think, when did my hair get so tired? Here's what happens. You get your bob. You find a way to style it that works. It's easy. It's fast. It's reliable. So you do it again, and again, and again, until what once felt sharp and fresh starts to feel flat, predictable, safe, stale. And to be clear, your bob doesn't look bad. It's just not saying much anymore. It's stopped evolving, and maybe so have you. I say this with love because I've done it. I clung to the same side part. The same cream, the same 2-minute swipe and go, because it worked, until it didn't. Until one day, that version of me felt like a screenshot from 5 years ago, paused in time. Here's the truth. Hair needs a little curiosity now and then. A little what if. It's not about a drastic change. You don't need a mohawk. Sometimes, all it takes is a micro shift. Flip your part, add a fringe, and tuck one side, leave the other wild, and try a new product just for the surprise of it. And if you're not sure what to try, ask your stylist. A tiny update to the shape, a bit of texture, a cleaner neckline. Sometimes it's less about looking different and more about feeling present again. Because the real issue isn't your hair. It's that you stopped playing. But the good news? You can start again today. Style is a conversation, and it's never too late to change the subject. And speaking of changing things, in the next part, we're not just talking about hair anymore. We're talking about you and how the way you style your bob might reflect more than just your taste. Here's the truth. Your bob is just hair. But how you wear it? That's the message. Because in the end, it's not about bend or bounce or how perfect the back looks. It's about how you feel when you catch yourself in the mirror. Do you see someone who's hiding? Or someone who's quietly showing up, present, playful, completely her own? There's no right way to style a bob. There's only your way. But the beauty of these 5 small tweaks, they remind you that you're still evolving, still experimenting, still paying attention to the woman in the mirror. And that matters. Because if you're like so many of us, you've spent years showing up for others. Family, work, life. And somewhere in all of that, your hair became an afterthought. Styling felt like vanity. But it's not. It's presence. It's self-regard in the smallest, quietest way. A well-loved bob, styled with care, curiosity, and a bit of play, can shift how you move through the world. Not loudly, not dramatically, but meaningfully. So this is your invitation to play again. Try something new. Untuck, unflat, unstale. Because your hair doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to feel like you. You're not just wearing a bob. You're wearing who you've become. And next time, we're diving deeper, not into styling tricks, but into the emotional weight so many of us carry when it comes to aging and visibility. How we feel about being seen, and how our hair plays into that story, even when we don't realize it. Until then, take care of your bob, but more importantly, take care of the woman underneath it.